Hello, and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories. I'm your host this week, Casper, Wehrhahn, photographer, writer, and archivist for the Neepawa Banner Press. And this is for the June 3rd edition of the paper, which I don't know how this keeps happening, but time just seems to keep flying by. I'm not by myself, though. I am with Kira Paterson. Kira, thank you for joining me today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here so that I wasn't by myself either.
And we have to admit, this week, not our strongest paper, but for everything that was going on, it worked out pretty well. For all the things that we had to deal with, we did end up getting a good amount of content in for this week. I think more than we expected, Kira.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some of it was stuff that managed to come in last minute, and then some of it was stuff that we had saved earlier in the week, and then we just forgot we had, and we're like, oh wait, this can go into.
Yeah.
So we did end up having a decent amount of stuff. Not a lot of written stuff, not a lot of words, which is probably nice for you. It won't take you very long to flip through the paper, but you'll get lots of information on stuff that happened in the past week or so. There were events that were covered. Things did happen. It's just that we didn't have a lot of words because we let the pictures do the talking. So I think it's not a terrible paper. I know that there were some other people in the office that were like, this is our worst yet, but I don't think it was that bad. It's just that there weren't a lot of words. And for somebody like me who's a little bit lazy, that can sometimes be nice. You don't have to read as much.
Oh, give yourself some credit. You do a lot of writing. But yeah, we do usually do a bunch more writing, but just unfortunately, well, I'm sure lots of people in the area were aware in some way of the circumstances that were going on just over the weekend or past week. Really high winds and some stormy conditions, and that continued on Tuesday when we were, finishing up or trying to finish up doing chases and writing up other articles, and just sort of the whole general Tuesday thing to get the paper going to finish it up on Wednesday. Well, that didn't last very long. Maybe like quarter after 9 o'clock, power just shut off. And we had sort of a weird half and half situation, didn't we, Kira?
Yeah, it was strange because your computer stayed on and Owen's computer stayed on, but mine was off. And the other ones in the back office were off. There was half of them at the front that were on, but the printer at the front wasn't on. And then half the lights were on and half were off. But the stupid thing was, even the people that had computers couldn't really do much because the power that was connected to the phone lines and the internet was off. So we couldn't email people, we couldn't look stuff up, we couldn't access anything that we had saved on Google Drive or on whatever cloud you put your work on, and we couldn't phone people to get information about things that were happening or to look for story chases and that kind of thing. So we just could almost do practically nothing pretty much all of Tuesday morning, which is when I like to work right up to the deadline. I kind of get a little bit lazy on the Thursday, Friday after we finish the paper, and then I start to do more work on the Monday, Tuesday. So pretty much the prime time for me getting work done, I couldn't do anything. So yeah, that was kind of fun. You probably were able to do some stuff, maybe some archive things and that kind of thing. Although it was dark downstairs, so you wouldn't even have been able to do that, right?
Yeah, I didn't even get to go downstairs and do archives. I know Owen went down with a flashlight to try and look for a photo that he was hoping to find. But yeah, I didn't get to do any archive work that morning. And if I don't have a story chase that I can work on, if I don't have the content from an interview to actually go and write the story up, I usually go down there in the morning and I do that. Or if I just need to do archives, I'll go down there and do that because it's a good time to do that while we're waiting for ads to come in and finish up and get made so we can start building in the afternoon. But yeah, couldn't do that day. And, there is nothing else I could really work on. I mean, I was writing up a little bit for a history piece that we're hoping to run in the future, but there'll be more on that at a future date. So I could kind of do that a little bit on my computer because I had the book there. But I couldn't remember what all I'd already written up, so I had to try and remember and work around that, but not a huge deal. But yeah, we had power gone for like the entire morning. I don't know when it initially sort of came back, but it came back at some point in time.
I think it was maybe around like 11:30ish or something like that.
Yeah.
Came back
because before it came back, at some point the power just completely cut out. We had nothing.
We didn't even have half. That's right.
We didn't even have half, and then it somewhat came back, and we put that in quotation marks because like immediately after it came back it cut out again.
It was just long enough that it was back for maybe like 5 minutes, and we thought, okay, so that means that things are better, it's all fixed, we can get to work. And so I started up my computer and just about like responded to an email or something, and then it was gone again.
Yep. I was doing the same thing. I was just about to reply to an email and it cut right back out again. And I think it came back again
for an even shorter amount of time.
For an even shorter amount of time, like maybe another 5 minutes later. And then we finally actually got the power back at like noon when I had to go for lunch. So sad. But enough about that. We were able to get rolling and get the paper done, of course, because we're sitting here with you right now. And there's been a good amount of activities actually going on in and around the community, and we're starting right off on the front page with the Chamber Fair that was held here in Neepawa, and we have a very good photo that was submitted to us by John Luigi Pito right on the front page. Of course, pick up a hard copy of the paper. It's a lot bigger, a lot better quality on there, so you can get a good look at it. But it looks like it was just sort of the place to be, or one of the places to be, because there's a lot of activity throughout Neepawa with all the different events, and we will see more of those on page 9. But Kira, you were down at the Chamber Fair for a bit, right?
Yeah, I was there like right at the start on the Friday evening. They opened at 4. I showed up shortly after 4 just to get a few pictures before I went home for the weekend while I was in town. And so I just figured I'd check it out, see what was going on. There wasn't a lot happening yet. They weren't completely running yet. But as I was there, more and more people started to trickle in, and the life started to spring into it. The lights were turning on, the spinny thingies were spinning the people, and all that fun stuff. So it did look like it was going to be a lot of fun once it got into full swing. There was a fastball game going on right beside as I was there as well. For people who enjoy watching sports, that's not me, but there were quite a few people that were enjoying watching the sports. So that was a fun part of it too. I didn't get any pictures of that, unfortunately, because I was not thinking. But yeah, that was just one small part, because I know that there were a lot of things that were going on that were either part of the fair or organized to be kind of at the same time as the fair, just to kind of take advantage of the extra people that were going to be in and around town. Yeah,
and we have good photos of that, and an extra one from the fairgrounds itself. On page 9, there's one of your photos there, and I don't know, I was sort of drawn to that shot when I was looking through the folder there, because, you know, just the smiling kids, and, you know, they just really look like they're having a great time exploring the fairgrounds and what it has to offer. And it's too bad we didn't have more space to use a couple more of the photos, because you had some really cute ones of the kids on the rides there, and some other stuff as well. But you can see we have a photo from the karaoke event that was at Arts Forward to coincide with this. Great photo from John there, from the Ukrainian group that did traditional Ukrainian songs, if I remember correctly, and a bunch of yard sales around Neepawa as well. One of which was a fundraiser for Cat CNR Rescue, and it drew a really good crowd. I talked to them a little bit there while I was there taking photos, and it had just been busy like all day since I got there, and I think I was there like shortly after, what time was it? Shortly after noon, maybe? can't quite recall, but it was still fairly early, I think, but just very, very busy. And actually, just as I was about to leave from taking photos, a bus came along, a small bus from one of the colonies or something, had just like pulled up, and they all like got out to go check everything out. So that was really cool. And it was a little bit special as well, because I was talking to them, and they had some plants on sale there too, and they were actually donated by one of the greenhouses there that had, or in Minnedosa, that had unfortunately kind of been flooded, I think it was, a little bit. So even though they were struggling, they like gave these to Linda, Dorothy, and Martha Bennett there, and to sort of give them something else to sell at the yard sale there. So that was really cool. As well, there was a book sale at the Margaret Lawrence home, and it was they had a lot of books.
Oh, really?
They had a lot of books. They had, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 tables outside on the deck there, and then there must have been like, I'd have to say maybe like 5 or 6 inside.
Oh, okay.
And it was just chock full of books.
Wow.
Like, there was a lot. I was blown away. And it's a good thing that they took it inside. I mean, they maybe could have gotten tents. I know they did 1 year before in the past. They borrowed some Neepawa tourism ones, but it was very cloudy that day. So definitely good for them to be on the safe side and have it predominantly inside. But as well, it sort of just lets people get in there and see the Margaret Lawrence home. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, there was tons of stuff going on, way more than we got pictures of, but you know, there's only so many of us, and we only like to do so much work on the weekends. I'm being a little too honest today, I think. I don't know what it is, but
That is fair. But no, it is hard as well just to, get out to everything. That's why we appreciate everyone's help in the community and surrounding areas to submit stories to us, to submit photos to us, and even just like get news tips to us if for some reason you can't, if you're not able to get something yourself, or if you would like us to take a crack at it, we really appreciate that. So, but we have some other great things to talk about here. And one thing we should highlight actually is on page 2, and that was the Hope Food Bank Drive.
Yeah, so they every spring they do a food drive. Every fall I think they do one as well, and possibly maybe around Christmas time, I'm not sure, but they do a few every year. They'll do food drives, and what they have been doing lately is they will drop off bags with their logo, the Hope logo, and the Rotary logo, because they're sponsored by Rotary, on the bag, and they have a little list of donations, and they drop those off at all the houses around town, and hope that people will fill them up and leave them on the step for them to pick up a couple days later. So they were collecting their donations earlier this week on Monday, I believe, and they ended up getting just over 2,200 pounds, which is pretty good. I don't think it's quite as high as they have in past years, but that's still over 2,000 pounds of food. That's a lot of food, and that'll really help bolster the supplies at the Neepawa Food Bank, because that's where all of those donations go, is to the Neepawa Salvation Army Food Bank. And they also will take cash donations and checks and whatever else too, because people quite often will just leave some money if they don't have time to pick some stuff up or don't have anything extra in their cupboard, or they will leave stuff like food plus some extra money. But yeah, so they were able to bring in over 2,200 in over 2,200 pounds in food plus $125 in donations this spring. So they were working real hard getting all that stuff, picking it up, loading it into their cars, driving it to the Salvation Army, and then unloading it, getting it all weighed, and then helping to put it away and sort it and get through that kind of thing. So it's really cool. This is a high school group at the NACI, and they have been doing this type of thing for years now, and it's really cool to see them still getting involved in the community. I know that they sometimes will do fundraisers for things in other countries as well, but it's even more special when you see just how they're helping people within the community itself too.
Yeah, it's always great to see these sort of initiatives here and at other schools as well, and similar groups such as YAC. I don't know if that's still going on anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I hope it is. It was a good group too. And just all the different things that they do to help different people in the community, and it sort of gets them out there and volunteering, which hopefully they'll continue to do that in the future too.
Exactly.
They have a lot of good causes that they support. We have a lot of activity as well going on at William Morton Collegiate Institute very soon. That is over in Gladstone, in case anyone is unaware. But this month, very early, unfortunately I couldn't get the story in last week's paper. The lead did come in as we were building that week's paper, so that was unfortunate. But it will be having a raffle again this year with names to be drawn on June 10th, so next week. And ahead of that, there will be a sort of event day for all the students there on June 6th. And it's just chock full of activities. I was talking to Trevor Lang about that. There's a whole bunch of stuff planned for the day to completely fill out the day. Like, he showed me the schedule, and I was like, wow, all right, you guys have it covered.
Nice.
So I think they're going to have a great day. Like, they have baseball planned. They have tug of war stuff planned. I think they're going to do, like, slip and slide type stuff, a whole bunch of things. But one thing he really wanted to highlight, because it's very special to him, and it's open to the public as well, this one event, is that they're going to be having sort of like a go-kart race. And this is extra special because it's not just go-karts. It's go-karts made by his grade 12 industrial arts students, Kira.
That's so cool.
Right?
It makes me wish that I took industrial arts in high school and I see all the cool stuff that they actually did. I just didn't really know anything about it. And I was like, well, I can do all these other nerdy things instead. But but that is such a cool course that they offer in some of the schools in our area, because they build cars.
Yeah.
Like, so neat.
I mean, yeah, sure. They look pretty simple. We have a picture of one of them on page 3 there, but it's still a functioning go-kart. Like, that's insane.
How fun would that be?
Yeah.
To build it and then to drive it yourself, that would be so cool.
So for that, I think it's actually going to be, it might be the teachers driving. I don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't know. Maybe students if they're old enough.
Maybe.
But there is going to be protective gear. So either way, if they're able to, however that's organized, they'll be safe.
They don't want any children crashing and burning. That's not going to happen.
Yes,
don't worry.
no, everyone will be okay. So that will be happening, I believe. It was at like 1:15 p.m. on June 6th. So if everyone wants to go and check that out, the Institute is where you need to be. And as well, it will give you a chance to take a look at the raffle prizes, because those will be on display during that period, so that anyone who wants to see them can see them. And these raffle prizes, I should say, it's similar to last year, where they had, I think there was a couple that was up for grabs. It might have just been the one, actually, the one prize. But the last year they did a luxury hunting blind, and they are doing hunting shacks again this year. They actually have 2 hunting shacks that would be up for grabs, and as well a really nice looking bench. Like, they've got some really good looking wood there, and they've carved like a design into the metalwork there. It's just beautiful. It's got some trees, moose in there, a bear. It's just
Mountains.
gorgeous. Mountains, yep.
It's nice. It's pretty cool.
So yeah, very cool, very cool. I am very impressed, and I'm pretty sure Trevor is very happy with the work his students have done. So definitely check those out. You have 3 chances to win, which is pretty cool. And as well, it's for a good cause. It will help the industrial arts class continue to make really cool projects like this the next year. So definitely, if you would like to participate and potentially win a prize, or if you just want to buy a ticket to support them, then certainly go do that. You can, I believe I have the contact information in there. I think it was just to call the school and get your tickets because you can buy them until June 9th. So keep that date in mind and purchase if you would like to.
Nice shameless plug there.
It's great. It's an awesome class by the looks of it. So I don't mind giving it a plug.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We have more activities actually
So much
sort of outside Neepawa. I think this was Riding Mountain. Yeah, Riding Mountain. Back on the back page here, I wanted to go to this before we get into the other stuff. There was a really nice looking market. I wasn't there myself, but there was the Biosphere Reserve's annual Spring at the Farm Gate Market at Onanol Rec Center. Okay. Yeah, Onanol Rec Center on May 21st. John wasn't down there. Friends of RMNP was very kind and submitted these photos to us, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how thankful we were for submissions, so again, thank you. But wonderful photos there. It looks like it was a spectacular event, lots of different vendors there, different items. We had to crop it out, unfortunately, for space, but that one photo sort of in the middle bottom there was a lot of like great fresh produce. There was a bunch of I think it was potatoes in like a basket there. It was just full. It was like a basket maybe like I think that tall full of potatoes. And I think there was more elsewhere as well for that same stand, but it looks like there's some fresh pickled things and whatnot. So very, very good event, and it's awesome to see this sort of stuff happening again. And still seeing a good amount of people exercising caution and wearing masks and stuff, because I know how eager people are to get back out there and do things and just sort of feel normal again after being shut in for like 2 years in a way. And we just need the fresh air. So
exactly, just need to see the world again a little bit.
Yeah. We do have time, so Kira, you know what that means.
You're gonna make me talk about sports? Is
yeah.
that what's gonna happen?
I'm unfortunately gonna make you talk about sportsing.
Unfortunately, I barely read these. Sorry, Owen.
We read before we go to print, but then it all just...
Yes, we're reading to find all of his spelling mistakes. But yeah, so baseball is happening again. That the Santa Clara Baseball League has started up once again. The Plumas Pirates were recently in Neepawa, I believe, for the Neepawa's home opener, and they beat them. Plumas beat Neepawa. It sounds like Neepawa has come off to a little bit of a slow start this year, but there's lots of time. It's only the beginning, so there's still lots of time for them to win. But it's always nice to see other teams do well as well, because Plumas is within our coverage area, so we can't cheer for one over the other. So it's like, yay, somebody's doing good, right? But yeah, so that happened. I think that the final score was 10-4 for Plumas. And that game was on the 27th, I believe. Yeah, Owen goes into a lot of detail. I will not try to repeat it all, because some of that stuff I don't even know what they're talking about. But there is more sports on this page than just baseball. He talks a little bit about some happenings in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. The Titans have auto-protected a couple players. And as well, 2 golf clubs in our area have had their first hole-in-ones for the year already. They literally just opened last week for the season, and Minnedosa and Neepawa both had a hole-in-one happen at their golf courses. So that's really exciting. Check out who that was and congratulate them if you see them. You can find all that sports stuff on page 10 of this week's paper. I'm not going to go too much into detail again because I don't know much of the sports lingo, so I don't want to sound like a fool.
The sports thing is past us. If you want all the detailed sportsing lingo, you have to talk to Owen.
Yeah, and he's not on the show today, so he can't tell us all about it. So, shucks.
Darn. We appreciate all of Owen's hard work there. So great work on the stories there, Owen. And I'm kind of curious a little bit, I admit, how rare hole-in-ones are, because I know they're a big deal. Mm-hmm. So, and the fact that we've had, like, what you said, it was two already?
Yeah, one in Neepawa and one in Minnedosa.
Yeah. The fact that we've had 2 within a week of their season, like, starting is, like, what?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we don't hear of any until like the middle of the summer and somebody gets a hole-in-one. It's like, wow, the hole-in-one of the year, right? But then sometimes you hear of multiple. So I think it's always it's almost luck of the draw. There is skill involved, definitely skill involved, but sometimes you just get lucky and it happens to fall right where you want it to.
Yeah, I guess so. I admit I've not been golfing myself, I think, like, ever. I've done mini golf. Does that count?
I would say so. I think I've maybe done real golf like once in my life and mini golfed quite a few, maybe not quite a few, but a few more times than that. So I would count that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, close enough, right?
Right.
But yeah, we have some more stories in the paper, of course. We have some photos of the high winds that affected the area on page 2. There were some trees that were downed, some branches, so we have some cleanup on that. As always, we have our opinion pieces on 4 and 5, our letters, editorials. So definitely check those out. Another recipe from Helen today with some history, of course. I know lots of people look forward to those every week. A great photo of the old train station. You can see the water tower, I believe it was, in the background there. Not the town water tower, but the water tower for the train station, because, you know, they needed water. They used to be on steam. So that was there as well. Some carts on there, which is really cool. And some different things there. Actually, I think there's like some pallets of supplies. So I don't know. I'm just like
cream cartons or cream jugs or whatever, I think, because that's kind of what the story is about this week, is milk and cream and how they used to have a lot of dairy farms in Manitoba.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating just like sitting there and picking apart the photo and relating it back to Helen's story there. Of course, looking back, we have every week, and this week it's a Riding Mountain resident for the highlight who decided to give up farm machinery in 1982 because he was just like, well, I much prefer the old way with the horses, so I'm going to do that. So you can check that out on page 7 this week, since we are a 16 paper. And a few other things that we don't have time to shout out, but definitely pick up a hard copy of the paper to see all of that and all the things that we talked about in full scale, and just to help support us as well. Thank you for joining me this week on these stories behind the stories, and Kira, thank you for joining me as well. If you would like to book an ad with us to support us further, you can send us an email at ads@neepawabanner.com, or give us a call at 204-476-3401. Or if you'd like to give us news stories, news tips, submit photos, your letter to the editor, or a thumbs up, you can send that to news@neepawabanner.com. And again, we really appreciate you and all the help that you give us, whether it be through stories or ads, because ads do keep us going. And of course, you telling us what's going on and sending things in to us helps us, give the coverage that we want to give you, because it is hard to get out to everything within our coverage area, because it's a huge coverage area. But we'll put that away for now, and just thank you once again for joining us, and we will see you next week on next week's edition of the Stories Behind the Stories.